we dropped it at midnight, and I got sworn in 12 hours later at noon. So, like, between that time, folks were walking around the Capitol singing songs, saying lyrics that I just met, you know, and like, oh my God, thank you. And it wasn't just like the millennials and the little amount of Gen Zs from the House and the Senate. It was like the governor has you performing at his inaugural ball. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's at U.S. Bank Stadium. They're listening to it. They're loving it.
It ain't that I can't stop. It's that I won't stop. I made a few plays off a flip. Now I'm on top. I'm Southside Chief, homie. Yeah. What you know about it? Lake Street legend CEO, not the co-founder. What you wanna know about me? I'm so cursed up. I'm the last man standing, but I went first up. Most hated, they don't say it when I
don't know
roll
how to
up.
say
The
it.
things that people say about me, they don't say close up. Check it.
Okay, you ready to go?
Yeah.
All right. Another episode of Minnesota's #1 daily show live on Lake Street. They be getting mad at me when I say this because they think I call everybody a legend. You're really a legend. We got Maria Issa in the building.
I am legend.
No, you really are. But you know that though, right?
You know, I have legendary mentors and I have legendary ancestors. So
Yeah.
the apples don't fall far from the tree. We all legendary.
Yeah.
In our
That's
own
cool.
way.
Yeah,
So I'm
pop your
honored
shit.
though.
Yeah.
I'm honored though.
Yeah. I mean, you're one of the most. So, I want to get into the politics side of things for sure.
Yeah.
But prior to politics, just in the music industry in Minnesota, you can't really mention legendary shit without Maria Issa. Like,
wow.
what you've accomplished musically.
Thank you.
We can't.
I appreciate
You know
that.
what I mean? That can't be overlooked. So that's gonna bring me right into it. Then
Yeah.
one of the most legendary things I think you've ever done is you won this election to become state representative.
Yes.
And dropped an album on the same day.
Yeah, so I won an election and then I dropped the album the day I got sworn in.
That's right, the day you got sworn in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was pretty, when I tell folks, set your goals, because that's just what it is. I set up a goal. My team set up a goal on both sides of, one was election, one was nonstop. One was run like we're 20% behind, even though we're 80% ahead, and one side was also what's always been me and what's been the drive has been the music, has been the art, has been the creativity. And so both goals were like, as soon as the election was secured, the bag was there, we got that. And when I say we, it's always we.
Yep.
I am speaking French. It's we, it's our people, it's our movement, it's our movimiento. I was like, I got to focus on finishing the other part of what is me and what my goals are, which isn't complete, and immediately went back into the lab and set up a time to get this project in and released, because they both were at the start of the new year, and they're both what's balancing me in this year.
For sure. I mean, so I think the part that probably is most impressive to me is that you're running for this position, but also still finding a way to balance doing, I imagine, your first love, music. And you're a mom too,
That's
and like
right.
all the other shit, you know what I mean? Like all,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? As a father, like I understand the difficulty of balancing things. So I
Mhm.
have to imagine, and I just assume that politics just takes up so much time and space in your brain.
It does.
So was the album, was that planned? Did you know you were going to do that?
I didn't know that we were going to do that. It just happened as like, I recognized just right after election day and right after we won, things moved really, really fast. Like, for anyone who thinks that there's a break, there's no breaks.
Ever.
Ever. Real talk. Because, yes, I do wear many hats. And the first one, and is the top priority, is being mom. And this is the work that, provides me to be the best mom that I can be, which is politics, but also music. I'm an artist. I'm a musician. This is what has been providing a roof over my daughter's head and mine. And it's what pays my bills. It's my job. It's not like I want to do this and be this. No, I work very hard at my craft and have been for 2 decades. And that balance of like, here we are, here we're doing it is like just as much as the guy who's running for office who's a physician, right? Or is running a law firm. They've got to balance their firm, right? Or someone who's a business owner, they've got to balance their business. I'm a business owner. My business is my art. So it was a no-brainer to be like, I got to get back to business right on top of about to establish laws, because I'm a lawmaker now that's looking out for artists like us, that's respecting our crafts.
It's one of your best bars ever right there.
It is. I'm a lawmaker
she said, I'm
now.
a lawmaker.
I make law.
Yeah.
And the basis of dropping this album was like, I have to do this right now. I have to show other artists that I'm out here for them. That it wasn't just about like Maria's the first person to drop an album. No, it was about hip hop is in the house. It was about artists and licensing and all of those things that we've have received, that we've put so much work. Think about the pandemic and the closures of that, and how many artists either got choked by that, or how many artists took the time to say, let's practice on our craft and let's evolve into the new shift of this world, right? I got to look out for both of those artists right now,
For sure.
being an artist, because they both are me. They both are, let's put a pause on certain, or no, we can't. We're going to keep making music, and we're going to keep licensing, and we're going to focus on how do we attract a world and perform in a world when we're stuck in these little boxes, you know? It's always going with the rhythm. So the rhythm was, there's a day to get sworn in. The rhythm was, this is not just for me, this is all of our hip hop community, all of our artist community, to say that you can push your goals. And also, it was a realm of being like, I'm not gonna have time to do this if I don't do this right now. Because I gotta learn another rhythm that's called, you know, the fiscal season and the governor's budgets, and how long we have to be able to fight for law, and how much time I have in this session to be able to push and create law. So
talk to me a little bit about the position that you were running for and eventually got. What is your role in government?
So I am a Minnesota state representative for District 65B, which is, so the state representative is like your congresswoman for your district in the state. The House of Reps is our Congress here. We, in state politics, have a three, branch of legislation. You have your legislative branch, you have your executive branch, and you have your judiciary. I am a part of the legislative branch, which creates the law, all right, fights to write the law, has a vote for my district, has a vote for the people of Minnesota in law. For example, we just had HF, all right, House File 1, just passed. Okay, just pass the House to go on to the Senate, which we're going to pass it there to go on to the executive branch, which will sign that into law, which is our governor. So I represent the District of St. Paul's downtown area, the Capitol. So that Capitol is in my district. West Side, which is my barrio, where I'm from. A little bit of West 7th and West End, a little strip of the East Side, and the entire half of West St. Paul now, which is new to the district, which is another county, another municipality. So I represent those folks in law. If my constituents between all of those areas, they come up to me saying that we need affordable rent. We need to make sure that rent is controlled in these spaces. I'm listening to them as a member of the housing committee, and I'm saying let's create a law so that we don't lose our rights if we're waiting for rental assistance and our landlord wants to evict us while we've been behind on our bills, but we've got rental assistance coming through. That's the type of stuff that comes into my office. Or children need preschool. Families need preschool. Our kids need free preschool, which provides breakfast and lunches, and those are laws outside of even just asking for permanent funding for preschool. So, and it's at a state level, like, I represent a district. I listen to my constituents. I listen to the organizations. I've got hospitals. I've got some of the most hospitals in one district. Okay, if you think about that, United, Regions, they're closing hospitals down. Our nurses need funding in those spaces. So, like, it's not just one sector. It's all of it. And then we're talking about equity. I'm a woman of color. All right. If we look at the disparities, whether it's housing, health, education, employment, et cetera, we're always at the bottom. All right. So I'm not just in there thinking, yeah, I am representing, and I'm so proud. I had 12,000 people in my district vote for me. That's crazy, man.
That's crazy.
That means 12,000 people believe in
That's
the
amazing.
policy that I believe will work, or I believe that we need to change.
Yeah.
And I got 2 years till the next election. It's a 2-year term. So in these 2 years, I'm trying to do the best that I can, running with the policy that I'm leading with and what my constituents believe in, them 12,000 people, man, at the same time, while being mom and being an artist. But I look at the artistry and the politics. That place is a place of art. Some of that, majority of that art, though, doesn't reflect the people, the audience, the population of Minnesota.
Yeah.
So
when you say 2 years, so do you only get 2 years, or does that mean you have to run again
no,
in
that
2
means
years?
I have to run again in 2 years. You know, the House is 2, the Senate is 4. Okay, so I am now like in there getting a rhythm, and there's no here, learn this. No, there is
Go.
get to work.
Yeah,
It's
get to work.
hammer down, hammer time, you know? So,
Man.
and I'm in there like the fly girl, you know, I'm the fly girl at the house.
Yep.
And I am letting them know what's up, and people know that this has never happened before. And some folks just look at you as like, you're a rapper. You don't know what this is. I'm a rapper. I don't know what this is talking about. I know what it's like to try to fight for health as a type 1 diabetic, and being a worker and being a mom fighting for insulin to be free or affordable, accessible. You know, I'm a renter who knows what it's like for landlords not to care about our community or the properties, or don't even live in this state, and want to raise, you know, the prices on which this community was built on folks who are renting and are getting displaced from our communities that we've built. So all of that is politics. I'm a concerned citizen. Whether I'm a rapper, whether I'm a doctor, whether I got this degree or that degree, your right as a citizen is to fight for your rights.
For sure.
And to fight for those who aren't citizens either. I'm co-author of the driver's licenses for all bill, the HF4, House File 4, which just passed through 2 committees. We got another committee coming up to this week, which is Ways and Means. And how I know all of those folks that have been organizing for 20 years to have a driver's license as an undocumented person, they have a right to work. They got jobs. Their kids are citizens, go to school, but they don't have a right to learn how to drive and get a license and be safe for our roads, or get to their children safe.
Really?
No.
See, I didn't know this.
Illegal.
I was going to ask you specifically about that.
Yeah.
The driver's license for
Legal.
all.
And so we need to make that legal. It was legal.
They're going to drive anyways.
Exactly. They are driving.
They don't have a choice.
They don't have a choice, and some of them don't. So imagine, and here where we live in Minneapolis, it's hard. St. Paul, it's hard. Where we live in the Twin Cities, in the metro area, it's hard. But we still have accessibility to transportation, but it's still hard. Like the green line, right? The blue lines, all these lines, the bus at 21 driving back and forth. But just think, if you live in Northfield, if you live in greater Minnesota, where a lot of undocumented folks live, specifically like Latinos in our community, who work at those pork plants in Worthington, who work cleaning at the Mayo Clinic, they don't have access to that same transportation to get in those farms. All over across Minnesota, they got them farm jobs, so they're walking in below temperatures, or they're driving illegally, which is a safety hazard.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't we provide access to that? That's not discriminative. That's not discriminating them, labeling them as undocumented either on a license, so that it's easier for immigration to deport. We need just to have the same accessibility, just like it is you get a job, you check a box to say that you're a citizen or not. They should have the right to get the same license that looks like ours, and checking off a box that says that they're not a citizen, or they are, okay? But they shouldn't have a big label on it. Shouldn't say that. We already got a real ID happening, you know?
So what? Politics always feels so like frustrating to me. What's it like from your perspective now that you're actually in it?
It's always been frustrating, right? It's frustrating to be outside of politics, though, and know that, like, you're suffering from inequality. So now, like, being in those spaces where people are deliberately telling you, like, oh, you're needy because you want insulin to be free or, affordable, or you're needy for saying that you need extra help with your rent during a time when no one had jobs, or jobs were getting eliminated by a robot. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're like, no, like, we're not needy, man. But you can't attack. You got to learn how to have a cause and effect.
Yeah.
So their game, and when I say they, I say, the evil sides.
I know who they are.
The conservatives of who don't look at us as equals. Okay, who say that if you're a renter, you don't have a home. Like, that doesn't even make any sense. You know what I'm saying? But they have a privilege of generational wealth to have homes and have more than homes, or be able to leave homes behind, where we're just asking for reparations. You have to be strategic, just like a rapper has to be strategic on how they're going to drop a bar if you're in battle. I'm a battle rapper. Yeah. I grew up having to battle just to get on a mic or in a cypher in our blocks.
Yep.
To me, if somebody spitting a weak bar, do I jump at them and attack them? And like, nah, man. I think chess.
For sure.
This ain't checkers. This
Absolutely.
is what's the best move? Do I get frustrated and want to cuss somebody out? Damn right. You know what I'm saying? But then you go in the booth and you spit it out.
Yeah, and I mean that's I think probably the coolest part. One of the coolest parts about you is politics has always been present for you in your music. Always.
Definitely.
So this isn't like some giant leap. Like, this seems like the progression to me.
Yeah, when most folks are like, what's your next step in your career, or what project you want to do, right? I've done movies. I've done radio. I've done podcasting. I've done theater, Broadway theaters, right? I've done...
Legend.
Since I was a kid, I've been performing, but I've always been in activism. My drums are weapons of peace, man.
For sure.
Those came from enslaved people of the islands and my ancestors, okay?
Yep.
That were cutting sugar cane, and women who don't have a right to vote, and men who don't have a right to vote. That's where my ancestors come from. So to me, that's always been the music. It's always been the storytelling.
Yep.
Whether it's been bomba and plena and salsa and funk and R&B to hip hop and the needle on the record. I'm Puerto Rican. I am hip hop.
Yeah.
And hip hop's been politics. The
For
Bronx
sure.
was burning. The Young Lords and the Black Panthers were demanding health care and equal rights and not to be killed by police. That's my parents. Our parents are getting drafted to war and then coming back and having to see what's the next move. Fighting for a pension as veterans. Like, it's all politics.
Yeah, you're right.
It's all politics.
This shit right here is politics. We got to play politics over here.
Yeah, come on, media.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, and I learned a lot being in radio and studying radio about politics and the laws, and we got FCC rulings, and okay, so this station can talk this, but if it's a black and brown station and we mention something, dude, they gonna slam the hammer on it. That's inequalities within itself. So it's an experiences of, like, everything leads you. Everybody who's in those seats, everyone who got positioned to put themselves to say we can do this, to have support ground, whether we agree with their support or not, there is a mission.
Yeah.
All right. Each and everybody, some of our missions aligned. Right now, majority of our missions are aligning. But then there's another side, and that's what war is, man. And it's a cycle of balance and strategy. But what people fail to recognize sometimes, and I'm starting to, it's about faith, man. It's about having faith in the mission. And there's so many different faiths in there. And I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about faith.
Yeah.
Tactics of faith, to have faith in yourself, to be able to get up and go into a space that is not welcoming, that has not been welcoming. Okay? That has not been welcoming to folks like us.
Yep.
And now we're in there going, y'all work in my district. Oh, when people come in and, it's like, hey, how's it going? Can we talk about this? Yeah, let's talk about this. Hey, where do you come from? I come from Minnesota. No, but what's your district? Oh, you're working. We're right here. We're staying right in there. When you say that to somebody who's literally lives hours away from you and doesn't surround themselves with people who look like you, or if they're shocked to see that, you're black, you're brown, you're white, I got everything in my family, when that is shocking to them.
Yeah.
it's a wake-up call for them to be like, oh, you work where I represent.
Yeah,
Some folks think that's really cool, and some folks don't like that.
for sure. So okay, so then I'm curious about what was the response to you dropping the album? Was there backlash? There had to be.
Man, our shout out to the trifecta class because, man, it is crazy. I walked in to get sworn in with my family, with my crew, and people were listening to the album like the day that it dropped. I dropped it at midnight. We dropped it, me and Yemi, Perfect Noise. Shout out to Perfect Noise, Soda Rico. We dropped it at midnight, and I got sworn in 12 hours later at noon. So, like, between that time, folks were walking around the Capitol singing songs, saying lyrics that I just met, you know, and like, oh my God, thank you. And it wasn't just like the millennials and the little amount of Gen Zs from the House and the Senate. It was like the governor has you performing at his inaugural ball. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's at US Bank Stadium. They're listening to it. They're loving it. Hello to the Weekend got Song of the Day, and like, I found out more from the tweets that were happening from my colleagues in the House who were like, I needed this. You know, like, I needed this. I needed to hear this today. Like, so there's a really good response. And the album also, for folks who may not listen to hip hop or listen to my music, it got them to listen to it because they are on the other side of the aisle. And some of them, you know, are listening to it and jamming to it too. Like, I had people being like, I just walked down the hall on the second floor or the third floor, and somebody's blasting your album in their office, and I'm on the fifth floor, and I'm like, somebody's listening to it right here on the left-hand side. Well, I gotta go. We've got to go vote on the House floor. So like, it's definitely new. And the fact that Bernie Sanders is on the intro, I shout out to Bernie Sanders. Shout out for your message. It's something that I reflect with every day. Every day, I'm carrying that message every day. I'm authentic. I'm myself. I didn't come here for clout. I didn't come here for fame, to be in this space as like, oh, you're the first. No, I came here because I care about my people. I care about myself. I care about my daughter. I care about the mothers and the fathers that are crying because their children are not with them no more due to injustices on everything.
You care about making change.
I do. So like, this album speaks that, and I think there isn't a backlash of it. There shouldn't be. And if somebody, and let me tell you, if somebody backlashes me because of this album, I have people in there that are my colleagues that have given me so much support that it doesn't even matter if they give me backlash.
Yeah, no, that's true. I guess the only reason I ask is because I'm curious if there were some of those old curmudgeons in there, like,
of course. Oh my God, they're like,
but nothing to your face.
They don't even talk to you and look at you in your face when you're speaking.
Of course.
They look at the ground, or they find some other way, or they call you evil, or you know, or you don't understand. And I'm just like, I've been told that my entire life, though.
Yeah.
I've been told that my entire life since I was a little girl.
It's a cakewalk for you.
In educational institutions, being on the street, walking to the store, all of it. So, like, now it's like, guess what? We're here.
Yeah.
You didn't stop me then. You're going to do everything in your power to try and stop me now, and I'm just going to keep moving pa'lante.
There you go. That's it.
Yeah.
How did you get Bernie to do the drop? The album?
Bernie we went on a tour to support our Attorney General Keith Ellison's race, you know?
Yep.
And ours, I went to speak on and perform. Like, Keith, shout out to our AG. He had, like, you know, he's been supportive of me since I told him, I think I'm going to run, you know? And he was like, for what? Like, you know, like, we were at a basketball game, bump into each other. And I was like, you'll find out next week. And I launched my campaign. And he hit me up like, you did this, you know, and you could have called to ask for guidance. I said, I know I could. I always got it. But, you know, just.
So you have a relationship with him?
He's a mentor of mine.
Yeah, that's
he's
awesome.
Somebody that has served the state as a congressman, but also as a lawyer and as a father and as an uncle, as a contributor to his community, as a black man who talks to us about justice. And
oh, wait, we're talking about Keith. We're talking about Keith Ellison.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were talking about Bernie.
Bernie is somebody that's like that though to Keith.
For sure.
So it's not about keeping it to yourselves, you know, it's about movement.
Yeah.
So when Keith Ellison says, hey, Bernie's coming to town, you know, and I hope you can be there for one of them. And I'm like, I'll be there for all of them. And okay, you know, and they're like, speak, and I was like, Keith wants me to rap.
Bernie's coming
And
to town. He's trying to get a feature.
I don't rap to anybody. You know, I don't just rap for people who are running for politics.
For sure.
The people just, and they'll be like, can you, like, I'm not a puppet. Like, this is my art, all right? Yep. You don't just tell Basquiat, paint a picture, right? R.I.P., right? Like the movement. You got to go to a gallery to see a Basquiat.
Yeah.
So, like, this is the work. So I don't just do that. And let me just say that first and foremost, because that comes heavy a lot. But, like, if Keith just said, I'm going to do a tour, I would have gone. But you just having Bernie's coming. And I'm like, oh, T.O. Bernie. I opened up for Bernie Sanders the last time he came.
That's
when
right.
he was running for president.
Remember that. Yep, I remember
and like,
that.
That's because Bernie shows up for Puerto Ricans. Bernie shows up for people. Bernie shows up for folks who need health care. And he is a rapper.
Yeah.
Bernie be on that Senate floor telling people to cállate la boca, you know, like, nah, he spits bars and he doesn't care what people thinks about him.
Yeah.
And so he's someone that I look up to and that I wish was president. But he showed up for Keith, so I was like, I got you too. And we went on a tour. And I asked him, what do you know, well, we'd love if you could perf rock. Okay, great, awesome. And then Bernie Sanders just happened. We went to Duluth the night before. The next morning we was in Rochester. And he and I had a conversation. I mean, there was way more into that conversation, but those are my gems.
Yeah.
But that part right there was like, I need to rock that. And he's like, you do you. You heard it.
Yep.
And so that was the drop on the feature, was like, he's here to support the new wave of politicians.
Yeah.
That should be whatever they are, that should be, you know, represented how they want to be represented.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was like the core of the album to drop. When I had that, I was like, I got to put this on the album. You run, you keep doing you rap on the floor. And if they want to say anything different, you tell them what you tell them, you know? So it's what it is. And that's what Bernie was like. It was a no-brainer.
Yeah, no, for sure. It definitely is.
Like, people were like, who you featuring on the album? Who do you? I was like,
Bernie?
I don't have time to even go on the album, but I got Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? I'm like,
yeah. Yeah, Bernie.
Big,
okay, so you know, we are primarily a hip-hop show. We interview a lot of artists come up here. So I'm curious, from somebody from your standpoint, that you've always you haven't ever really been in the grind mix of, like, I don't know what to call it, but there's like this, you know, there's a lot of,
say it, man, just say what you want to say.
There's like a shitstorm of a lot of artists that are fighting over like the popular crown and all that, and you've never really been in that. You've always kept it over here with your fan base, building what you got.
Definitely.
Not in the mix. So I'm curious, like, do you see everything? Like, have you paid attention to what goes on in the music scene here?
Yeah. Specifically,
yep.
I mean, I came from the scene where you didn't see women of color from your local scene headlining shows at First Avenue. You didn't see women of color headlining shows in their venues or having opportunity to open up for the top artists.
Yeah.
You didn't have that. That was unheard of. I was the one that was in there recognizing that this space is ours. And I'm Puerto Rican. I'm born from Minnesota. Hip hop came from where my family migrated here out of New York City. Like, you ain't gonna tell me I can't do this or I should sound this way. And they did. That's that scene. And it was very patriarchy. It was very sexist, very machismo, very racist. And I just stayed to the folks that really cared about the culture.
Yeah.
Whether you were 20 years older than me, 10 years older than me, or 10 years younger than me, that you cared about the elements and the culture, and you took accountability for your actions that have been a part of the culture as well. And I've always been supportive to our women, specifically our women of color, specifically the artists that have opportunity. Like, look at the homegirl, Sophia Ayers, touring the whole world with Lizzo. And when they came up here, you know, there wasn't any women of color that were headlining these shows.
Yeah.
They weren't in these spaces. There weren't these tickets that were opening up. And then you look at how much you were getting paid. When you get your hands on budgets and you get to see how much folks, specifically white men, were getting paid to rap for shows that you did, and you would ask for a minimum guarantee and they would decline you. So I would decline doing those shows.
Yeah.
Because I'm not here to bow down. You know, when you have cousins and homegirls that are surviving a lifestyle of having a choice, but doing things to make sure that their scholarships are paid for and their rent's paid for, dancing at a club, at a strip club down the block, getting paid more than what these men are getting paid to rap. I mean, getting paid less, but they want to pay you less.
Yep.
They're getting paid more than what you're asking for a guarantee. And these guys are saying no, but yet they'd be in them damn clubs tipping. All right? Come on now. That's the scene that you think I would want to be a part of? No, I learned how to do myself around it, not give up, and also educate.
Yeah.
When I didn't have to educate them, to say, like, that's not the route to go. You don't want to see our daughters doing that. You don't want to see our young men doing that, our sons doing that. How do we build equity? Takes accountability, takes reparations, just like in any angle. That's the hip-hop community. The hip-hop community deserves to have the leadership and the same philanthropic endeavors or funding to go in sponsorship to go to women of color.
Yep.
Than it has for white men or white passing men who have been in a role of they don't got to worry about their bills for the next 10 years or their kids are set.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I've discussed this topic many times over the years about, and sometimes it's weird for me because I am also a white man, but there's no doubt that music, specifically hip hop, has been in the hands of white men in Minnesota for a long time. So that was part of why I asked you the question. Are you starting to see change in that?
It's not about whether I see change. I don't have time to go focus on the things where they haven't changed. I have time to focus on the areas that wants change and that is supporting to change and that is making change.
Fair enough.
All of that would be a waste of my time to just go ahead into that. And that's why I'm here. If so focused on that, I honestly would have probably been somewhere else or doing something else, but I never did because it would be a trap. And I'm sorry for those who maybe have been trapped in that because I'm sure they have been going through a lot. I've survived a lot not trying to be trapped in that.
Yeah.
And so I'm working on the young girls, the young men who are in this industry in the local scene, you know, that have been in my classrooms and now they're adults and I'm trying to build for them, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not going backwards but forward. And shout out to a young girl, a young lady, a young woman. Her name is Sayla MC. She's a rapper that was my student and she'll outbar all these, you know, she'll outperform them if they were 20 years ago, you know? So I'm focusing on what are the avenues that have helped me, but also help her out more. Josh, who is a white saxophone player from the South Side, who's always recognized his privilege as being a white kid growing up in the hood and around the hood, but also utilizing his instrument to be able to teach children of color in his community and influence them with the artists that he works with and talk about the privileges that he has and the privileges that some of his friends don't have. You know, like that's where I look at. I can't be building out thinking about 25, 30 years ago. Like, shoot, I was a shorty then, you know? I escaped those traps.
Yeah. Are there any other young up-and-coming, specifically young ladies? I don't know if you know, but the women are kind of, in Minnesota, the rappers.
We are. We always have been. Shout out to the OGs, Heat, Nina, all the North Side, you know, women that was spitting bars that was like, yes. Or they had paint cans in their hand or were breakdancing, you know, Redbone, the burlesque B-girl, you know, like I grew up with that flavor, you know, Deanna Cummings, who's now hip hop is now the director of the McKnight Foundations. You know what I'm saying? Like, so like these are sisters who built juxtaposition and have national platforms and international platforms of always being told that they can and they shouldn't and have doors closing but have opened them for us to be in there with them, you know. So it's like I look at Sayla's the future MC. Check her out, you know, St. Paul, Minneapolis, put out a project just a couple months ago, is performing at the 7th Street, I think maybe, I don't know, this week and next week, whatever, but keep on the radar for her. Like, I that's my favorite, you know, and R.I.P. to Lexi. Like, she was somebody who shine bright like that one in the sky, you know, like
Man.
it's really, you know, look at those stories, and for those young girls, like, support each other. Don't be no mean girls on it, you know, like, support each other. Real hold, and the men too, you know, support each other and take action on going to get help in areas where we have not been able to be in the same spaces as y'all. Like, you know, fight for us still, show up for us. Feminism isn't about being a woman. Feminism is about supporting the women's movement and the woman's right. And I surround myself with feminists all the time.
I believe I'm a feminist.
I believe you are too if you're supporting my work, you know?
No, I definitely am. I mean, yes.
I think you are too. And like the fathers to daughters, like, you know, there's healing. There's a process of healing, and it takes time. And, you know, one day at a time, man. But like that's how we're really going to impact our world, is by taking accountability and healing.
For sure. Accountability is a big one.
Yep.
That's a really, really big one, for sure. So what is the end game? You going to be the president? You shooting for the White House?
One day at a time.
I mean, but is that something that you aspire to do?
Oh, you know, like, let's ask me that after this session.
Okay.
But I aspire to continue to work on national endeavors.
For sure.
Representing Minnesota.
For sure. So, like I said kind of a little bit ago, I want to circle back real quick. Politics has always been a part of you and your career.
Yeah.
So it does seem like the progression is natural, right? But at some point you had to go, I'm doing this. What was there something that pushed you into it?
Knowing that me being a part of the Insulin for All movement, and I was like one of the only folks of color, and definitely like the only Latina in the state that was in there fighting for the right to have accessible insulin to live. That push while I'm being a mother, you know, and then a pandemic and closures, and then an uprising, and having another homie getting killed by the police. That will definitely tell you that this isn't the world that my daughter needs to be traumatized in. Like, my daughter felt her first senses of trauma through that as I was giving her nutrition. Like, that right there, and our students hungry, like, they come to after school programming and we give them snacks, but we know that they come majority of the time just to eat those snacks. So we're coming out of our own pockets to buy them pizzas or teaching them how to eat greens and salads. Like, there's $17.6 billion in this state right now. And you got homies still volunteering to be football coaches so that they don't shut down the park programs in the same parks that we were raised in. There's homies that are putting down bread or giving their time to talk to the kids how they were the ones that were living in the car and hungry, okay? That now they get all over the world by doing what they love to do. But they're volunteering their time when there's people who can do those jobs 9 to 5, okay? That can get paid, that there's funding out there to get paid for, so that we don't have crime, so that we don't have suicide rates, so that we don't have opiate crises, so that we are not suffering from hunger and homelessness. And that right there was like, I looked at my daughter, I looked at my homies who've been a part of this movement of survival with me, whether they've been here or in different states, but we're here. And I'm like, Puerto Rico ain't got no water, ain't got no light. Like, it was a calling of being like, let's go.
Be the change, right?
If y'all is with me, then let's go.
Yeah.
And let the people decide.
Yeah.
And when the people decided, that's it, because the power is for the people, and it's the power of the people, and that's the movement. I come from the 13-point platforms of the Young Lords. I come from the 12 platforms of the Black Panthers. I come from those teachings, man. Our kids deserve that. I didn't get that at school, man. I got that from the streets. I got that from my parents and the foundations of what they've been surviving. I got that from the first Black female mayor of the city who took time to tell us little girls that just showed up. just show up. So that budget right now that I get to have a yay and a no vote on things needs to show up. It needs to show up for the next generation who deserve it to be easier, not harder, like Senator Muhammad said. Easier, not harder.
That's right.
Yep.
It's incredible.
Thank
I think you're incredible.
Thank you.
And just sitting here watching you speak is, man, I don't know. It's special.
Hey, man, it's energy, yo. Just keep having the energy. Keep having the energy. I tell folks all the time, you don't like what I had to say, like, call me. Come to my office. Tell me why.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect. I didn't come in this position thinking that I'm perfect. I came in this position to say that I understand and I feel like I have enough strength to be able to take accountability in actions that I may not be right in, or to hold others accountable for when they're not right on their actions.
Absolutely.
And they're trying to make that our everyday lives. So that's what it is. Like, hit me up. You don't have to like every song. That's your honest opinion. You don't have to like every way of policy, but you deserve to have your opinion, and I want to listen to it so that I could, bring some balance.
Well, I'm happy that you're in the position you're in.
Thank you.
And I would love to see you take it higher.
Hey.
But I also understand,
Can we get much
2 years,
higher?
2 years, we'll see what happens, right?
2 years. Let's see what happens, yo. Let's I'm the rookie at the Cap. No holding back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Looking back, thinking how we escaped the traps. Like, I got a song on the album, and I lay it out right there. Like, that's the purpose and the reason. It's called Nena. It's called Little Girl. That's Nena. It's about the little girl in me who makes it here to have a little girl who I want change for. I want change for all them little girls, all the little boys. And it's just one day at a time, reflect.
I think you can do it, and I'm proud. I mean, I'm proud to have you there.
Thank you.
I think it's amazing. So we got to wrap, but before we wrap, closing thoughts, and also tell them where to get your album and all that.
You can stream the album on every platform. Capitolio. It's capital in Spanish. Maria Isa. You can go to IamMariaIsa.com. You can stream it off your favorite platform. TikTok it, tag me at Maria Isa Soto Rico. Instagram at Maria Isa Soto Rico. Twitter at Maria Isa. And the closing thoughts is we've got to come visit me at the Capitol, y'all. Come learn. If you've never been there before, if you're traumatized by that space, I understand. That's why I'm in there, not to re-traumatize, but to try and clean some spaces up and to bring us in there. So come through. Go sit down in a legislative session. That place is open all the time for the people. You have every right to be in those committees. If you want to know, if you don't know how to get access to that, hit my office up. We will make sure. That's the importance, is like, I knew that I could go to that hearing on healthcare, that I can go on that hearing on ways and means to give testimony when I was when I'm still a type 1 diabetic. I knew that. Not everybody knows that. Not everybody knows that you could just walk up in there, sit down, and listen. It's so important for us to be in that space, whether we're running, whether we're an elected official, whether we're just a concerned citizen who's going through those issues. Like, you have a right to go tell the people that make these decisions how you feel, or how you've been surviving, or how you've been accomplishing. Like, if you work as an artist and you want to talk about, why am I not getting healthcare benefits and I work this much as an artist, let's write the blog and let's give your story to those folks. Come and visit me. That's my last words. Like, come and visit your space. It may not look like it. I get that. We're trying, though. But if we're not there in our numbers, it's going to take a lot longer. So show up for what you care for. And I would love to tour you around. You know what I'm saying? If y'all are watching, if y'all are listening to this and want a day with Maria Isa at the Capitol, like, hit my email up. Go to Rep Maria Isa Perez Vega. You can go Google me, and my house page will show up where you can directly call me and contact me. And I'll sit.
I didn't know none of that. I didn't know that was an option. I didn't know we could just pull up to the Capitol. I didn't know that.
You can show up on Monday from 8 to 4:30. You can eat your lunch at the Rotunda. You can go to the cafeteria that they have there. You can sit in. If you want to hear what the Senate's hearing in the Senate, you can go do that. You can run right back to the House, hear what's happening. You could go to the balcony and sit down and hear us demanding what needs to be changed.
That's amazing. I didn't know that. And I'm guessing you just told a whole bunch of other people.
I
didn't know that either.
That's right.
So I'm glad you said it.
They come on over.
And I really appreciate your time. I'm glad you could come do this. I'm glad we finally got to meet and talk and come back in a year.
I would love to.
Please.
Anytime.
Yeah.
Come
for
visit
sure.
me, man. Come
Okay.
bring the show to the Capitol.
Okay. We're going to do something. We're going to figure out something for sure. Maria, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. And yeah, it was a pleasure.
It was, man.
That's it.
Hey, Live on Lake Street.
Live on Lake Street. Another
Shout it
episode
out.
of Minnesota's #1 daily show, Live on Lake Street. I'm Jake Faircloth. Follow me everywhere at Jake Faircloth1.
It ain't that I can't stop, it's that I won't stop. I made a few plays off a flip, now I'm on top. I'm Southside Chief, homie, yeah. What you know about it? Lake Street legend CEO, not the co-founder. What you wanna know about me? I'm so churched up, I'm the last man standing, but I went first up. Most hated, they don't say it when I roll up. The things that people say about me, they don't say close up. Check it.